Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The latest from the Port of Los Angeles. By the way, a new Fox News poll showing almost 9 in 10 voters are worried about inflation. Perhaps not a huge surprise. Let's get reaction now from capitalist pig hedge fund manager Jonathan Hoenig and National Taxpayers Union EVP Brandon Arnold. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. Jonathan, let me begin with you. Despite what the Biden administration says, this inflation issue is starting to bite pretty hard at pocketbooks around the country, and that could have a big impact on the big holiday season coming up and consumer shopping.
Yeah, I mean, on the economy, and, actually people are worried now, but if they're worried, honestly, look at history. They haven't seen anything yet. I mean, go back in the 1970s, home heating prices doubled in just one quarter in 1973, and the red meat prices were increasing at 100% on an annualized basis. In fact, it was so bad in the early 70s that you saw housewives protesting literally at the grocery store. So this, as much as the Biden administration wants to, sweep it under the rug or blame us greedy capitalists, is their proliferate spending that's causing this inflation, and it's not turning around anytime soon.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Jonathan, because, Brandon, we just had the administration, President Biden himself, saying he'd received a letter from 17 Nobel laureates saying, hey, no worries, your spending plan will have no impact. In fact, inflation will go down, which to me sounds insane. What say you?
Yeah, I don't buy it. First of all, a lot of this inflation is caused by demand-side issues. There's a supply-side issue, of course, but a demand-side issue as well. We put about $5 trillion into the economy over the past 18 or 20 months to combat COVID, and that has juiced demand. We don't need to put another $2 trillion or $3.5 trillion or however much this package is into the economy at this time. It's just going to cause additional overheating. Of course, there are supply chain issues that need to be addressed, but the first thing the Biden administration should do is stop digging this hole deeper. Stop trying to make the problem worse.
Well, they're digging a hole, Brandon, to follow up, and yet that huge monetary hole, how's it going to be paid for? We're told, half the people in this country will see their taxes go down, which means that somewhere, someone is really going to get the shaft, so to speak, in a technical term. I mean, this is this is basically printing money, throwing away our future, our future generations. We're going to be left with this problem. And my question to you is, do they really have a sense of how they're going to pay for all of this, or are they just trying to appease their supporters?
Well, they're saying that they have a plan to pay for it, but that plan seems to be crumpled up and thrown in the trash can every 20 minutes or so because of all of the negotiations that have taken place on Capitol Hill. So right now we're looking at corporate tax rate increases, but maybe not, because Sinema's not so happy with it and Manchin's not so happy with a carbon tax. So they don't know how to pay for this package. But here's the thing. They are permitted to borrow up to $1.75 trillion. If that's their fallback solution, that's going to cause just the problems that you alluded to there. Borrowing more money from abroad and funneling that money back into the economy. That's going to create more inflation.
And actually,
go ahead, Jonathan.
Let me just quickly say, actually, you said who gets the shaft?
Yeah.
Well, we all get the shaft. We get it not just in terms of higher taxes, but in lower standard of life, lower quality of life. And you saw that all throughout the 1970s. And it wasn't until Reagan and Volcker came in and finally cut taxes, cut spending, that you actually started to see the economy take off. So keep in mind history. I mean, President Johnson called inflation public enemy number one. We're not there yet.
Right, and Jonathan, it's interesting that the take from the Biden administration on the supply chain problems is, hey, don't blame us. We've just created a fantastic economy. Demand is going through the roof. Of course things are stuck at the ports. That, to me, is a very flip response.
Well, exactly. I mean, you print hundreds and trillions of dollars, actually, and give it to people. They're going to buy things. But that flip response was even evident in Jen Psaki saying, treadmills are going to be delayed. We're talking about people's jobs, their livelihoods, their Christmas gifts. I mean, that attitude about redistributing people's wealth and not caring when it gets stuck in the process, it's just too much to handle.
All right. Well, I have to leave it right there. So much to talk about. But guess what? Jonathan and Brandon, you're going to be back with us a little later this hour, so don't run off. That's what we're trying